Amid the global aviation downturn as a result of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, lockdowns and the ensuing travel restrictions imposed by governments throughout the world have hampered the ability of ordinary travelers to get around from point A to point B. We also have to consider the economic downturn and the effects on ordinary people, especially in Asia where a growing middle class population have become the main travelers for the budget and full service carriers. With limited abilities to travel, there is still yearning for those willing to want to just get away and experience a flight anywhere, even if it ends up landing at the airport where the flight took off from. This idea of flights to nowhere has taken off in Taiwan, where several of the country's carriers have embarked on these special flights for travelers who simply just want to get away. Within the last few weeks, some of the mainstream media reports have surfaced regarding these special flights, which depart usually from Taipei, circle around the area, and even approach the airspace of neighboring countries. With a flight time of anywhere between 2 hours to half a day, these flights usually end up returning back to Taipei. To get a seat on these flights, simply the travelers would book with either a travel agency or with the airline directly. To make things more interesting, each of the Taiwanese airlines have offered their own unique take and experience for each of these special flights. In the case of Taiwan's EVA Air, the airline has operated their flights, including one on a special Father's Day edition on August 8 using a Hello Kitty Airbus A330 seating around 309 people. China Airlines, on its own part, also has its own special flights but is targeting kids ages 6 to 10 and their parents, which, along with a flight on a Boeing 737-800 around Taiwan, the kids will also get a chance to learn about the flight attendant's jobs through a special pre-flight course. Finally, for Taiwanese-based startup airline Starlux, which has so far had a rocky start, it has also followed with its own special flights, using its Airbus A321s, with founder and chairman Chang Kuo-wei as the pilot in command. These flights, although they may not be going to a specific destination in other parts of Asia where there have been travel restrictions for international arrivals, yet so far the media reports in Taiwan have reported that it has been popular. While the routing may be a bit different in the case of EVA Air, it flies close to Japan, while Starlux would take its approach to the area north of the Philippines. On board, it would seem like any other airline flight. As part of the packages, some of the airlines have offered in-flight dining as good as a Michelin star meal, which EVA Air and Starlux offers. Personally, I find this concept really cool given that it is in the current situation, and for the most part, most airlines are operating at minimal capacity and aircraft are currently unused, parked somewhere in the middle of nowhere and collecting dust. However, the Taiwanese-based airlines are not the first ever to offer such types of flights, which usually land in the same airport but it carries passengers. Australian-based Qantas has done these flights to Antarctica, flying over the area before returning back to Australia. To add a new fun fact to this, Qantas is actually planning to resume these services to Antarctica before the year ends. And this brings up an idea of whether this could work for other airlines as a way to utilize aircraft and generate some revenue in the middle of the pandemic. It certainly would be a good way to utilize some aircraft who would otherwise be stored and allow flight crew and flight attendants to work on and develop their skills. For passengers, there are some good attractions that you could see from up above the air, including the likes of the Great Wall of China, the Great Pyramids, and the Great Barrier Reef. In Southeast Asia, this could also be extended to areas like the Halong Bay in Vietnam, along with the Chocolate Hills, the Mayon Volcano, and Pinatubo in the Philippines. This certainly would add a entertainment value of the airline business, though it's safe to say that it should focus still on its cargo and passenger operations. And while these flights could be done on a limited basis, this probably may not be able to be done on a more wide-scale basis. These flights would typically might have to just depart from Hong Kong and say travel around the area for a few hours before returning back just in order to save some fuel costs. And it seems more likely to limit the capacity to an Airbus A320 or a 737, as I don't see it practical to use an aircraft of a 787 or an Airbus A350, which is better used on long-haul routes with paying premium travelers. These flights would also meet some restrictions on international airspace use, so if airlines want to embark on these kind of flights in the other parts of Asia, it likely will fly over their own country's airspace. Another thing to note is that not every airline has the resources and the ability to mount these kind of flights, which EVA Air and China Airlines, for example, have adequate domestic operations along with connecting travel through Taipei. So with that, what do you think would be a cool route, including attractions on ground level that could be cool enough to be a special flight? Also, if you are in an area where travel is still very much restricted, would you be interested in simply wanting to get away on these kind of special flights? In the meantime, I definitely hope you enjoyed this video, which is a break from the normal news and serious updates. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, thank you for watching and have a great day.